Hello there, YouTube. I really been wanting to talk about this for a while now, but I'm not sure what to call it still. I already went over slow playing, like, you want to split up, have people go to 1 and 2, some people go mid, and then you want to figure out where the enemy is, get a couple picks, decide where you're going, then group up and push. Well, then I've also talked about, the mentality, what you should be having when you're playing and such like that. Well, I really want to combine these two things into something, but there's nothing really to describe it, so I'm just gonna go over it. So basically, a lot of people love the push heights. I love the push heights, but I feel like a lot of people are starting to do it too much, which is the opposite of what it was like a year ago. So like people spawn and be all chill and be like, "Alright, look, we're gonna take two site and just." So at the beginning of the round, you see this in the clinch, they'll be like two, rush two. And then you see like everybody, all five people like pushing two and be like, with the pairs or whatever. And that works fine sometimes. Like, I like to do like, 1 to 3 times per game. And if you can predict the enemy, like what they're gonna do, what sites they stack, if they're, if they leave like one site unprotected, you can take a site easy by pushing. If you can push, you can do every round until they would stop it, and it works great. But a lot of clans don't know anything other than that, and that's the problem. Um, so I want to go over, slow playing, which I already did, but I want to go over something different this time, is like what to do when you're slow playing. So like at the beginning of a slow play round, you don't want to just shift at the beginning. No, 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 no. At a slow play round, regardless of whether you're slow playing or not, you have to take shower per se. Like on dual site, you gotta like come down here and like clear this area. On black site, you gotta clear the gen, right? Because you gotta be able to have the possibility to go 2 and 1 to slow play, right? So that means you need to take the connectors, or the places that can get you to the sites. So you need to be able to go to. You need to be able to also go to 1. That means you have to have the killer path all the way back to the base, or from ladder through mid. So you have to have some kind of intermediate here somewhere. And then you also have to have this area clear so that you can possibly go 1. So on this map, you need to clear shower in this, and then somehow make sure that the path in between is clear. That way, no matter what's going on, if you get to 1, if you guys want to go 1, people from 2 can get to 1. If you want to go 2, you have to have the possibility to go 2 and have the people from 1 to get the 2 or whatever. Well, that's kind of obvious. That isn't what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is like after you do that. Usually, it's maybe like a 4v4, 4v3 kind of situation now. Now, what you do then when you're looking for these picks, I'm starting to realize more and more that AV is more about kills than it is about anything. Like C4 is important. People always try to focus on the C4, which it is important, but one major thing is mostly games end by kills. Even if the C4 blows up, how did you get 0 planet? Kills. Kills, 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 kills. It's demolition, but kills are the most important thing. So let's talk about this. What do you want to do to get these kills? What is this going on here? So what you want to do is you want to peek at the appropriate times. You don't want to just peek here and then peek here for no reason. For one thing, if you peek randomly like this and you don't know where they are, a scope right there could take you out. Or when you're peeking here, you're open the two sides, the side and the side, so you can get killed. You got to be careful with your peeking. So you want to make safe peeks, like something like this, or if you want to peek the right, you want to come back here and peek like this, and then if you want to peek the left, you want to go like this, where they can't see from the right, and then you want to peek the left. You don't want to do this, where they can see from both sides, or you don't want to do something like this, where they can see from above there and there. And actually, even sitting here is too risky. Anything back here, because they can see from the green box. So you got to be aware where you can be seen from, how many places you can be seen from, what you're watching. You need to be able to peek safely. The safest way to peek is to peek only one direction at once, where they can only see you from one direction, and where you get the peek. You don't want to crouch here for a while, because then they peek, they get a little bit of advantage because they'll see you first. You want to peek like this, go back, go around, maybe peek like here, come back, go around, peek. And you want to keep shifting as much as possible, because if you're moving like this, and they hear like 3 of you at 2, then they know, maybe there's some people at 1, but they know how many you are. There's a big disadvantage. You don't want them to know where you are, and you want to be able to get these nice peaks. Like you want to be able to peek out, get a kill. Now what to do after that kill I'll go over later, but it's really important is getting those kills to begin with. It's just so important, like the slow playing. So, like I said, you wanna only take the safe peeks, and you wanna peek one direction at once and whatever. But here's another thing: is like with this kind of thing, you want to kind of be random. Like you want to be able to flank them, right? So you got to see what works. Some teams you might be able to you know, maybe at the beginning of the year, your team was taking the vital points or the cross junctions or whatever you want to call it, like a D on the map right now, where you can see where it showers. Maybe like, you know, they got a few picks at 2, like they had 2 people rush 2 and your teammates killed them. Well, then maybe you know there's no guy watching the base because they have to rotate in the 2. Well, then you could try like, you know, shifting up here. Well, when your teammates is throwing nades and stuff down there, smoke or something, or maybe they're doing something on, I don't know. Anyway, you want to try to like do the shift up through the base kind of deal, right? And you don't want to spoil it. Even if your teammate's in a gunfight down there, you usually don't want to like start running and kill him unless it's last guy left. Because if you go to run after the one guy down there your teammate's shooting, the other guy might get you, right? Hear you. So you just want to keep shifting until your flank is there. And your teammate really shouldn't push out of showers until, you know, maybe say them reason 2 and you're flanking, right? Your teammate should wait for you to get to like, you know, right here, and then you should both go at the same time, where you start running, he starts running, and then it's easy. So this kind of flanking thing I talked about in my other video, but I'm just wanting to put together, you know, the slow playing. Like, you want to shift around and get these picks. Even when I say slow play, and everybody knows, you know, the splitting up sight thing, they don't understand, you know, about how to peek. Like, you just got to shift. Only peek one direction once. So you peek here, then you're going to want to peek here or whatever. I mean, well, to be honest, this is a bad idea. That's not a range that you want to be rifling at. So, if we're doing a good idea here, you want to jump across here at the building and gain the round. Then you want to peek here. Then you want to peek over here. You really don't want to peek there too, because if you're peeking here, it's so hard for you to shoot them. So really, you want to be like here. And then if you really have to, usually you don't even want to peek here. You just want to push in, right? But if you're gonna peek, you're usually going up top, and you know you're doing the slow play thing where you check over here, you check here, check right here, check everything across, come back, check through here, right? Well, this is how you would slow play and get around. Now, ignoring the fact that people on the bottom can see a shadow through the roof, you know, you're actually doing a pretty good job here. So yeah, you just want to focus on shifting, only peeking when you need to, and making these good efficient peeks. For scope, it's easier, right? Because they can just pre-scope, shift around, wait till they see an enemy come, boom! Alright. So that's how you want to focus on getting those kills, which is really important, because if you aren't getting kills, you aren't going to get anywhere slow playing. Yeah. So you don't want to really position, you want to get those picks, and you want to shift around and like the slow play, I give you as much as possible. So now what to do after you get those picks, right? I've talked about all of this before, but I'm really trying to put this together. This is general offensive strat guide right here. So once you get a pick, right? Scope, like, you know, say your scope on your team peeks, boom, gets their scope. Now you got a few decisions to make. It comes down to how many guys are left on their team. If it was a 5v5, you know, beforehand, then it's a 5v4 now. What does that mean? So if your team, say, oh, rushes a site then right there, say the other team all goes 2, then more than likely you're going to have a bit of an advantage because you have one more person. And specifically, rushing 2 would be might be a good idea right then there, because they have one less person inside 2, right? Because they just had, you know, they had to have had to split up, you know, people at 1, people at 2 probably, right? So one person 2 just died. That means they haven't had enough time to have somebody from 1 rotate yet, so they have less people in 2. So when you push in 2 right away, before they can rotate, you have a big numbers advantage, right? Well, the problem is, for instance, is you have to know where your teammates are. So even if the scope gets a pick, right? If your teammates were all the way at 1 still slow playing, then you can't really push yet. That's the problem a lot of teams have, is they'll try to push in with 1 or 2 people. You gotta have the whole team. You don't want to try to take C4 into a site with 2 people. Now, the scope might, you know, after that point, run up here and try to get another pick or do something like that, but it's up to that. It's a bit aggressive, but it's possible. Now what you don't want to do, like I said, is try to take C4 into the site and plan it with 2 people. If it's like if 4 people on your team, that is. If you have 2 people versus 4 other people, you're kind of screwed, and you have to try it anyway. But that's another situation. So yeah, you just want to have it coordinated. So scope gets a pick. If there's still people at 1, then you think, okay, wait, we'll try to get another pick. See what happens. If the scope gets another pick at 2, then you can push 2 with 2 people probably, depending. You just have to know where the enemy is. You know what I mean? Like in this situation, you have 2 people at 1 per se, 3 people at 2. Well, the scope just got that first pick, right? So it's a 4 versus 5. Say they had 3 people in 2 begin with. So now you have 2 people in Nerfus 2. You have 3 people in Shower and 2 people at 1. So what do? You have a few options. You can have the scope on those 2 rifles, probably, or whatever, push in the 2 and have that 3 versus 2 situation. Not a bad situation. But the thing is, the people at 1 on NRF can rotate to 2 faster than the people on EU can rotate from 1 to 2, right? So you got to think of it as it's a 3v2 initially, but then they're going to have 1 or 2 people reinforcements coming, and your reinforcements will be later. So you got to decide, is it worth it? And this is all within like a second. You got to decide, hey, push now, push not. And then you got to call it on your mic, you know what I mean? You could be like, guys, don't push, or guys, push. Another option, you could instantly rotate the 1 and have everybody push 1 because, right, they just had 1 person die, so they have 1 less person. Now they had people rotate from 1 to 2, right? Because they probably thought, oh crap, somebody died, you know what I mean? The guy in sight might be calling, hey, it's a push. If you throw some smoke or something after getting that pick, well then they're gonna have less people at 1. If anybody, and then if you rush fast enough, you'll take it. So you have to be able to know what the enemy is doing. You have to know where your troops are, and know where the enemy troops are and what they've done before. So this is a strat thing. I'm putting together all the previous videos I've done. It's the strats, the defensive, the flanking, slow play. But there's something, you have to have this certain mentality when you're slow playing. What I really want to get to, I haven't gotten to yet, is like, some people, when they take the site, say it's a 1 versus 1 situation, they're so intent on planning this C4, right? They just want to keep planning it. Like, it's a 1v1, they know the guy's in dark room. Well, they'll, like, check the tunnel and be like, alright, there's no guy in tunnel, no got their base, I'm going to start planning. Well, you know what? My thing is, once you start planning, he knows where you are, and he knows the game has changed. He kind of knows he's got to kill you and defuse the bomb within the 40 seconds. That might be a good thing. But what I like to do, personally, a lot more now, is if I have C4 and I say I have like a minute left, I have a minute left, right? The guy's in dark room, I know he is. Then I'll just start to shift towards him, right? Or I'll start to shift towards up here. Because then, he thinks I'm going to plan it, he doesn't know what I'm doing, right? He starts to wonder what I'm doing. He has to start thinking about what I'm doing. But on the other hand, what do I know about him? I know that he's in dark room. I know that he's expecting me to plant, he's waiting for me, right? So I know what he's doing, whereas he has no idea what he's doing. So he has all these things to think about, and I only have one thing to think about is, okay, I'm shifting up to their base, I'm waiting for them to in the corner. So I'm just focusing on my aim. He has to wonder about where I am, what I'm doing, he has to think all these things. So basically, I'm the one making him think. Whereas, if I start planning, right, like I clear this stuff and I start planning, I have to wonder, well, where is he doing? Is he gonna come from here? Is he come from here? You know what I mean? I gotta wonder if I plant, is he gonna, what's he gonna do after? I started to go in the defensive, really, is what it is. So if I clear this and it's 1v1, 1 minute left and he's in dark room, I start to shift up through here, right? So I'm like, I only got one thing to think about. Is he around this corner? No, he's not, per se. I keep going. Alright. You on this corner? No. Is he around this corner? No. Nope. So what I think is, did he go down the 2 or did he go to 1? Well, then I can just decide. You know what I mean? Do I want to go 1 or 2? And then I can just go in. I don't have to think. I don't have to overthink it. Now, in his mind, say he was like tunnel or something. He's like, alright, my teammates died. He's down there. He, peeks, doesn't see me. He peeks, he doesn't see me. At this point, I'm walking up to the base. He's like, I don't know if he's planning or not. So he starts to like shift up here. He starts to shift. Starts to make these aggressive moves. He peeks out and I'm gone. Now, you might start to think, oh, then you're busted, right? No. Then he's got to think, where did he go? Did he go back this way? Did he go this way? Where did he go? He has no idea. It's like I just, pulled a magic bunny out of my hat. He has no idea what I am doing. He has to think. He has to think where I went. Me, I know where he was. I knew he was dark room. I knew he had to go here, or here. I mean, it's really simple. Basically, he is forced to come to 2 because I have C4 and I have the site. Whereas I can go 1 or 2. Just because I'm in 2 with the site with the C4 doesn't mean I have to plant at 2. That's a big misconception. People always, like I said, they get in sight and they're like, oh, I got the site, nobody's in sight right now, I'm planting. I'm planting. It's so important. Not really. Especially like on India, if you're inside 1 with C4, 1v1 situation, right? You know that the guy's in their base? Well, if you wait until like, 20 seconds to start planning it, they usually either go 1 or 2 because they think, oh, I'll go to a site and if he comes to this site, then I got him. If he goes to the other site, then I'll rotate, whatever. They don't, you know what I mean? Or even if they say base, once you start planning, the problem is once you start planning, they know where you are and they know what you're doing, like I said. Whereas if you go after them, if you just try to get the pick on them and you shift, and they don't know what you're doing, you start to make them overthink it, and you know where they are usually, so it's a lot easier for you. Like, why would you plant and give away your position, give away what you're doing, and make it a game where they have to chase you down and kill you within 40 seconds, when you have a whole minute or whatever to, like, shift them down when you know what they're doing, and they have no idea what you're doing? You have such a big advantage. It seems such stupidity to give it up. Now, I mean, if it's like a 5v5 or 3v6 situation, like 2v3, you have like 3, they have 2 people, then yeah, it's alright to plant it, whatever, and then you cover it. But like in 1v1 or like 1v2 situations, usually it's better just to go for the picks, I feel like. Like picks, you don't have to focus on the bomb so much. And another thing I see people do, and this is totally irrelevant to the topic of the video, is like C4 is down, right? Say it's C4. It's binos, whatever, C4. Anyway. They'll be like 1v1 situation, right? So they're the defender, the guy just planted. They come in sight and they'll be like, and the offensive dude will like run out the door, like stall and be like, Hugh, I'm gonna sit right here and wait for him to turn the door. If he does, he's dead. If he tries to defuse, I'll go in and kill him later. So then the derp and RF person goes up here and like just stands there and just waits and waits and waits. And that's great if the guy's gonna peek, which like, if you have like 30 seconds left, I fully endorse this. Like just sitting up here and like waiting, because he'll peek you. He'll start to get. Is he gonna defuse it, dude? I'll look like a noob if he defuses it. I gotta go peek. Let's start like 15 seconds. He will peek for sure, and you can gun him down. It's great. I fully endorse that. Now, if it's like 10, 15 seconds left, no. You don't want to jump up here and wait, because he might wait till 6 seconds to peek you when you can't defuse it. So even if you go down here, start defusing it at 10 seconds, if you waited 5 seconds up here for him and he didn't come and you start defusing it, if he turns the corner and kills you, you're dead. And even if you kill him, you might not even have time. So the thing is, what you want to do, if there's 10 or 15 seconds left, start defusing it, right? If he comes in, it's whatever. If he, doesn't come in, then you just freaking injured him and he looks like a retard. So that's what you want to do. Now 30 seconds left, like we said. You can be pretty sure he's going to peek, so you can wait if you choose to. But it's always safe to just start defusing, and if he comes in, you can get him. It's up to you. But a lot of people just seem to like just wait for him, and I'm like, dude, you got like 10-15 seconds. Like, you have to defuse. You have to go for the bomb. If you have no time, I don't care if it's a 1v3, you have to go on the site, you have to try to get the kills, you have to try to defuse. You don't sit there and argue with me like, bro, it's like 1v3, I don't want to like rush in there, I gotta like slow play. I'm like, bro, you have like 15 seconds left to defuse the bomb, you gotta go in there. You won't ever clutch if you think like, bro, it's a 1v3, I gotta wait and get the pick. No, you don't have time, you gotta do it. Everything is dictated by the C4 when it's planted. So anyway, back to what we were saying about slow play. So with slow play, you want to do a lot of random things, really. You just want to keep them guessing. Say your teammates are at 2, it's like a 3v4 situation. There's 3 people on your team, 4 people on your enemy team. So you have 2 people in shower. The enemy knows that they're there. So you're at 1. Now a lot of people have this thing where they're like, bro, I gotta go around and flank these guys and help my teammates out. Well, to me, not so much. I would just shift your end right here and try to, if possible, get in a position like this, where if the enemy rotates from 1 to 2 to help their teammates out, easy pick, right? If their teammates rotate from 2 to 1, say you have your teammates rotate, then boom, easy picks. You just want to be able to watch the rotate, right? Now, if your teammates do decide to go 2, and you know for sure that, when you go to do this, nobody's going to get you from the back, then yeah, feel free to flank or whatever. But if your teammates, might rotate still, you aren't gonna want to like work this flank and like risk being killed. The most important thing is not being killed. If you want to deal as much damage without being killed, without being killed, without being killed. If you get 1 kill and die, it's not really worth it, right? You want to try to get 5 kills if you can, of course. So, you want to be valuable. You want to sit here and watch something valuable that rotates. And then, if the time is right, yes, flank. But you don't want to just get around here and start flanking for no reason. So you got to coordinate with your team. That's the most important thing. Is having a general idea when you're strat and slow playing it. Is everybody has to know where each other is and know what's up. Like, you got to be like, okay, I'm flanking, you push in. Okay, I'm gonna rotate. You can just sit there and watch their rotate, whatever. Same thing here. If you shift up here, yeah, you can work and flank. But you know what? It might even be better to have shifted up to here and then just waited for the rotate and then boom. Because it's much easier to pick off a rotate than the actually flank. Because think about it, right? Let's go through here. Say beginning of the round you got the here, whatever. Well, you start shifting up here because you know they have nobody mid for some random reason, or you're just taking a lucky chance or whatever. So you're shifting up to their base, right? Now you get the dark room. You got a decision to make. Do you flank? Do you wait for a rotate? Now it depends on what your team is doing. If they're going 1, then well, it's not really obvious. You just sit here and wait for the rotate. Now, if your team's going 2 for sure, then it's pretty obvious you flank, right? So same thing as before. You got the decision. Do you wait for your teammates? Do you wait for your teammates to rotate, or do you wait for them to push? I don't know. Personally, I would tell my teammates, hey, rotate the 1. I got their flank. Or I mean, I got their rotate. Because then when they hear you guys going to 1 and these guys from 2 come up, they aren't looking. Boom. Easy kills for you. They're coming from this way. They ain't looking all in this corner. They don't have time to look at this corner. They gotta come through here and they gotta look at this stuff. So you're right here. You got yourself some easy kills. Whereas if your team's going 2 and you want to flank, now let's go down here. Now you got a few problems. You can be seen from people rotating this way. Not only that, but when you get down here, you might see one dude and get a kill. But then they might have a teammate over where you can't see them who does get you. So you're not going to get like crazy multi-kills or whatever, right? Whereas, if you're just sitting here watching them rotate, you can see, you can wait. If they say they have 2 guys in 2, you can let one guy go by, wait for the second guy to go by, then follow him, get a kill when you see another guy, and then kill the second guy, and then maybe even get a 3rd, 4th kill. You can get their whole team. It's so easy because they aren't looking at you. Whereas when you flank, you know what I mean? Like you have a high probability of only seeing one guy killing that guy, and then the second guy killing you. You're not gonna get as many easy multi kills. This para, by the way, this para sucks compared to the normal one. You're like, wait, that recoil. I'm like, bro, it's Bets, Ergo, and Shotgun's over. So yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, slow playing. You want to do shifting. You want to do good peaks. You want to think about getting flanks. It's really important, flanks and rotating. Like if you're just going to a site, there's no real point in playing. You know what I mean? People will tell me, so why do you want to slow play? Why don't we just call a site at the beginning of every round? Like, let's go 1 and let's go 2. Okay, as NRF, why don't you just call 1 or 2 every round? Just have everybody in the team go 1 or 2, and you're like, it's totally different. There's a bomb. I'm like, okay, when you rush a site as EU, you're hoping that they have less people there so you can take the site and plant it, right? So, as NRF, when you say everybody go 1 or 2, you're hoping that everybody's on the enemy team so that you can fight them so that they don't plant it. It's the same thing but different sides. So, like complete opposite sides of the argument, but the same story. I mean, so why don't teams always want to say, oh, it's NRF, everybody's going, everybody's 2, and you're like, well, isn't it obvious? You want to spread out so that way you can figure out where they're going, and then you can rotate and defend it better. I'm like, oh, really? So as EU, it doesn't make sense to split up, figure out where they are, and then, rotate and make it work better. The same thing, but, for EU. Oh, that just blows your mind. It doesn't make sense. Same thing works the other way, too. Like, so as NRF, it doesn't make any sense to say all 5 people rush 1 run round. Like, if you're pretty sure they're going 1. It doesn't make sense at all. You're like, no, that's so risky. I'm like, And as EU, you always want to call, everybody go too. I don't see how you don't see, the hypocrisy. I can't even say it in your own argument. The fallacy. I don't know. Same deal. Anyway, I don't know. People just need to really think about strats a little bit more. Most people just, they don't use shift enough. And even if they're shifting in a clan war or whatever, good players. The problem is that they're always like chilling back behind the tank, or they're in the important area, the ways to get to the site, right? But they're either not peeking or they're peeking too much. They're always like peeking at places they don't need to be like this, or they're all peeking like not at all. They're just being useless. Well, like they're holding down the area, but they're not doing anything with it. You always want to be active. You always want to be shifting around, watching something, not just watching the important area so that you can go to one. You want to be watching something where you might get a kill, like the best possible angle. For instance, like here, you want to be able to peek here, because then maybe you'll see a guy bridge or whatever, but you can't be seen from here. Bad thing to do would be like, okay, I'm going to go through here and take a peek at bridge. Well, you're seen from over here. So you want to look at bridge like this first before you go, and then you want to go around like this. That way, even if you're seen from bridge, you already just checked it, so it's better. But anyway, like I said, review. You want to peek when you need to peek. You want to peeks are important. You want to get the kills. You don't want to over peek. You want to get flanks. You want to get rotates. But the most important thing is communicating with your team. Watching rotates is easier than flanking a little bit, right? So basically, for slow playing, what do? You need to shift. You need to make the right kind of peeks. The ones that have the less chance of dying, but higher probability of getting killed. And once you get a kill, you don't want to just push every round. You have to decide what to do. You have to think about what the enemy's doing, and then you have to make a coordinated decision as a team over mic and decide what to do. If you just start rushing into a site without calling what you're doing on mic, you're gonna get screwed half the time. It might work once in a while, but that's just luck. Are you gonna rely on that? No. You want to call, hey, we're going one, hey, we're going two, and you gotta listen. You know what I mean? If you're going to not push, you have to call them like, hey, I know I don't want to do that. Let's not push. Then everybody doesn't push. If your strat leader, says, hey, we're rushing one, and then you just, oh, that's stupid, so then you don't do it. Well, then the whole team gets screwed over because there's no point in calling it if nobody does it. So if you say, no, we're not going to do it, then usually it's fine because then nobody gets screwed over. Then you just wait for another pick or whatever. But if you call it and then you don't do it, that's terrible. If you do it but don't call it, that's just as terrible. So you want to call it and then do it just like you called it, so everybody knows what's going on and you have the right kind of push happening. Rushing a site is a great thing, but if you rush a site alone, at the wrong time, not coordinated, like you're both watching the same side, it's just not good. So you want to be like, scope gets a pick it too, like we said, and then you want to say, okay, everybody push. Well, then you say, hey, I'm watching. You say everybody push, and then somebody else says, I'm watching the right. Then you say, I'm watching the left. Then say somebody gets a kill. They'll be like, I'm reloading. Then somebody else says, okay, I'll cover green box for you while you're reloading. And they crouch down while they're covering them while they're reloading. That's the kind of thing you want to have happen. Here's what you don't want to have happen. Okay, let's rush two. All three people rush in, look the same direction. Somebody comes from the other side and kills all three of them. Another situation that you don't want to have happen. Okay, we're rushing two. Three people rush in, one person sits and crouches and watches the back. You don't crouch and watch the back when you're pushing. If anything, you walk backwards, facing the back while you're going to the site. That way, if there's a guy in the site who kills your teammates, you can turn around and kill him. If there's a guy from the back, you're facing him like you wanted to and you can kill him, but you're at least getting into the site. Whereas if you're crouching and watching the back, your teammates go in, they die, then you're stuck. It's much worse. Another situation you do not want to have happen. You say everybody's going to, all three teammates run in a straight line, get collateraled. Terrible. You want to spread out, you want to watch different things, you want to call what you're watching. You're like, how do you do that? Okay, every teammate, when they push in, have to watch the radar of the map, watch your teammates, make sure you're not lining up. Next thing, you have to call what you're doing. I'm going left, okay, I'll go right. Or you have to watch the radar and see, okay, my teammate's looking to the right, I'll look left. Now, when you're reloading, you got to call I'm reloading. You're nading? Okay, I'm nading. And if you're planning, you got to say I'm planning, cover me. You got to call everything. Like, anytime where you can't aim, you gotta call it. Okay, I'm reloading. Okay, blah blah. Like I said. And when I call, hey, I'm covering you. That way they know. Don't just assume when you say I'm planning. Don't just assume somebody's covering you. You gotta say I'm planning. Somebody will say, okay, I'll cover you. Then you're good. So you just gotta have the right communication. Like I said, you want to just play well. I mean, this is pretty much everything you can learn from slow playing. I can't possibly tell you more. So that's pretty much all I wanted to do is summarize, every kind of video I've done before into one thing. Cohesive statement pretty much about how to slow play, I guess. All it comes down to really is good communication and not doing things without thinking. Like, you don't want to peek when they can see you from two different directions. You only want to be seen from one direction, and that's the direction you're looking. So that when they peek, you can see them, they can see you, then it's a fair gunfight. If you can be seen from the right and the left, and you're only looking left, then thinking from the right, it's not very fair. You're getting owned. Unless, you'd like to do like a Twitch one dink headshot thing. Well, anyway, this is all I wanted to go in the video. Any comments? I'll probably respond to you. My voice is cutting out now. I don't know why. Probably need to get a drink. So, see you next time.